Hello there, this is Steve here in Sydney of the lay gnosis website truebluehealer.com, where in just 20 minutes you can get physical evidence of your divine spark activation. You will never be the same again. There will be abundant, repeating scientific evidence of a nature that will knock your socks off. It amounts to a sleigh ride through a magic forest with physical evidence to back it up over a period of weeks and months. Okay, you can get all that for free at truebluehealer.com in just 20 minutes doing the beginner's tour, and you'll wake up to what you really are. And you don't have to do that. You don't have to wake up until you want to wake up, but you'll find that much of your life is basically that of a sleepwalker, but it's okay to enjoy being a sleepwalker, okay? So you can wake up when you're good and ready, but an easy way to do it, a slow, gentle way with a daily drip feed of the divine into your daily awareness, can be triggered in just 20 minutes at truebluehealer.com, okay? And I'll leave it there with you. If you've noticed my head's a bit stuffy, it's because I've been poisoned by scientific medicine. I've got 14 weeks of this. I've got a stuffy head and laboured breathing for the next 14 weeks. I'm stuck with it. I can't do anything to stop it. And I've lost a lot of faith, if I ever had any, in scientific medicine. I haven't got a clue why it's happened to me, but it's left me breathless. So I'm sounding a bit funny there with a congested head. It sounds like I've got the flu, but I don't. It's a scientific medical injury. Now, the other reason that I'm breathless is the never-ending exposés of what's coming out of Wikileaks and the American election. I am flabbergasted and dumbfounded by the never-ending surprises that land on my screen, and I really don't know how to respond to them. It takes me a while to process them. And I'm very glad that citizen journalists have got more time than I have to go through all these emails. Many thanks to all the presenters, courageous presenters I might add. There's one called H.A. Goodman, who's a very good deliverer. He's a professional anchor or something on mainstream media in the US. And he sits at home making some deeply rebellious videos. And I'm wondering how long he's going to have a job, because he's extremely critical of the whole democratic government and governments going back in time all the way to the year 2000. And he's excitedly reading out the WikiLeaks emails almost every day and making some penetrating analysis of things we need to know. He's talking about stuff the mainstream media would not let him say on the television. So I fear for his long-term employment. He's going to be out of a job soon, I'm pretty sure, Mr. H.A. Goodman. Always a good fellow to watch. Some of the staggering revelations include, just landing on my screen just now, are that the CEO of the Clinton Foundation has, this almost sounds like Looney Tunes, CEO of the Clinton Foundation has applied for political asylum in the Russian embassy in New York because he's realised he's a dead man walking because of the knowledge in his head. And some of the examples given of what he knows include $1 billion that was raised by the Clinton Foundation to relieve poverty in India, and they just sort of happened to keep 800 million of it. And that lends credence to the concerns raised the other day. I thought it was a fake article. It was just outrageous. $1.8 billion moved by Hillary Clinton in a single mouse click to Qatar. And I thought, well, it's obviously she's seeing her loss of the election and she's stashing money before she's arrested in a place where it can't be reached, you see. I ridiculed that at the time, thinking, oh, this is a fake news report. But suddenly that sort of money is available to them. They've been doing all kinds of drug deals and drug smuggling, and there's 114 people dead behind the Clinton Foundation. And that's what the CEO of their own Clinton Foundation is deathly afraid of. Not living another 12 months. He's going to have an accident. And I fear he could become another Julian Assange, spending the rest of his life in an embassy. And I'm wondering if this election cycle will result in more refugees from government positions of inside knowledge. ending up in foreign embassies is the only safe place on earth that they can go to. Doesn't that really say something about the criminal nature of the whole political system in the US? Truly amazing, isn't it? It leaves me flabbergasted that I read these reports and they all seem to be based in evidence. And even humorous now, we've got a Democratic spokesman refused to deny that even Barack Obama was going to leave the United States if Donald Trump gets elected. He's chosen the beautiful nation of Canada to go to. That's the rumour, which has not been denied by a DNC spokesman. So it's interesting that he didn't choose Mexico, wasn't it? He wasn't going to go to some glorious third world country like Cuba or Mexico. He wants to go to beautiful, pristine, first world Canada. What a wonderful place, while he's busily destroying America. Goodness gracious. He's also been caught lying by all these Wikileaks revelations about when he knew about the email server. He knew a lot earlier than he let on publicly. He lied to the public. Goodness gracious. Do they tell the truth about anything? Do they tell the truth about anything? The entire administration in the US political system. Does anyone ever tell the truth? I'm afraid it seems to be an unknown currency in America. Quite distressing is the likelihood that because of their funny voting system, they've already got early voting starting in Texas, and there's been so many complaints. Electronic voting has been stopped because it's obviously all fiddled. People's votes are being flipped. And they've gone back to emergency paper voting, and that might be the only way to make sure that the election is relatively honest. Although there are millions of dead people apparently voting and a whole lot of people voting without identification, that's because the government chooses not to enforce the law that ID must be produced. So the whole idea of letting any number of Joe Bloggs people vote, even deceased people, is to keep the Republicans out of power forever, with millions and millions of unidentified voters contributing to keep Democrats in power forever. That's really got to be resisted. It's got to be stopped. And I think electronic voting has to be stopped. It's too easy to fiddle it. Just way too easy to fiddle it. It has become kind of obvious that Hillary Clinton bows and scrapes and grovells to the Rothschilds. She's a personal friend of Lady Rothschild. And so now we can understand why certain countries that are demonised get attacked and decapitated by the United States. Syria, Libya, that sort of thing. And the answer is, if you go around the world of all the demonised states, North Korea, Iran, they don't have centralised Rothschild banking systems. And in case you didn't know, Gaddafi was setting up a bank where he would finance the African states developing. He was going to start his own local African bank, you see, and that would have left the Rothschilds devoid of a monopoly on that continent. So you can see the little whispered email, the little whispered phone call from Lady Rothschild. Colonel Gaddafi has to go, I'm afraid. Can you make sure that happens, darling? And Hillary Clinton just salutes, yes ma'am, we'll get it done as soon as we can. So that's how countries are whimsically destroyed. The Rothschilds are going to be guilty of this sort of thing because they've always done this, always fomented wars for political benefits and economic and financial benefits. And they distance themselves by saying, well, I'm not one pulling the trigger. I didn't kill Gaddafi. Between my order and someone pulling the trigger, there's 150 people in line, all carrying on the word, carrying out the minions' job they have to do. So I can't possibly involve in that, can I, says Mrs. Rothschild. Well, I would disagree with that. They've got away with this until now when it's revealed step by step in emails. Are they ever going to have emails ever again in the White House? Are they ever going to do emails ever again? I mean, it's devastating transparency, isn't it? Absolutely devastating transparency, where the whole administration could be jailed at least. 500 breaches of ethics have been detected so far in Hillary Clinton's emails, for goodness sake. So, while So while the Rothschilds and the wonderfully powerful rich people foment wars, whimsically killing our people, having our working classes slaughter each other so willingly, maybe we could start whimsically jailing the powerful 300 people who control the world, which includes Queen Elizabeth, the Rothschilds and a bunch of other notables who all grew out of the massive business success of the East India Company founded in the year 1600 in India. And they are the basis of the modern oligarchy that controls the world today. And they think they're going to take the whole world into a Russian-style gulag where the United Nations is a trapdoor by which humanity falls into a gulag, basically, a prison camp where your children, your grandchildren will be born into 10 by 30 foot areas of living space, and you'll be kept in cities that are gated and fenced off, and the animals will be allowed to roam free in the American countryside, and the people will be fenced into reserves to keep them away from the animals. That's the long-term goal of Agenda 21 and Agenda 30 by the United Nations. It's all put together by NGOs, unelected people that just sit there and see themselves as futurists, making your grandchildren's future. Now, I would say Brexit has triggered the message, the idea that what we need is relocalisation and a number of other countries pulling out of the EU, and it's intended, Hillary wants to take America down the EU path with no borders and an open economic zone and millions of refugees flooding into America. The ideal thing would be to get out of the United Nations, move it to another country, don't let it be on American territory. The United Nations is a trap, a legislative trap. It's portrayed as the peak organisation, yet really it's the peak organisation of power groups and the corporatocracy who, unelected, can do whatever they damn well please with our grandchildren's future. That's got to be stopped. Trump is a good step. Brexit made him possible, and he's now doing a Brexit-style thing in America. With the voting irregularities going on so clearly already showcased, I'm not sure that the globalists will surrender and let Trump win. But he's getting 20,000 people per rally, photographed endlessly all over the net, and Hillary Clinton gets 50 to 100 people at her rallies. She's even got to stack audiences and make fake audiences with green screens in studios, it seems, where she's been caught doing that, and people holding up telephones with the wrong scene on the telephone screen. So it's very clearly a complete video production. So it's been asked by one commentator, Gary Franchi, he's a very good commentator, how far will the left go? Is there anything devious they won't do? Is there anything they actually stand for? Is there anything they won't stoop to win with their authoritarian bullying obsession that they've got to be in control of everybody else by hook or by crook, no matter what? The end justifies the means. Do they have any morals at all? Do the left stand for anything? I can't think of any single thing that they stand for, any principle. It says much about modern people today in the Western world, that there's so many people who stand for nothing but winning at any cost, no matter how devious or criminal you have to be. It really shows that we're ruled by a criminal overworld. A world of criminals rules us, and it's now been exposed thanks very much to Wikileaks and an army of citizen journalists who are discrediting the mainstream media in such a fashion that the MSM, which is a major plank of the New World Order, really is falling to pieces and will have no credibility with the next government, whoever it is. Citizen journalists are only going to ramp up their efforts, and citizen journalists are being generated every day. They watch each other, they pinch ideas from each other, they represent, they're replacing the mainstream media. Goodness, it's wonderful to see, and it's something that New World Order never counted on. So They don't always get what they want, and I'm very glad to see the mainstream media coming seriously unstuck and discrediting itself, giving itself nowhere to go. Truly amazing. Even Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, who's been literally he's seen the writing on the wall that Clinton's going to lose, and he's Mother Merkel's Stasi man, wants to prosecute German people for complaining about immigration. Even he has said he wants to make contact with the great unwashed, the common people, and find out what they really think on social matters. Well, golly, suddenly he's in consultative mode to find out where to go next to maintain some relevance after Trump is elected. Golly, golly, golly. Never thought I'd see that. But he's got to do that. Otherwise, he's out on a limb and lost a massive investment, and Facebook becomes a $1 trillion piece of junk that nobody will listen to, no one will use anymore. The same's going to happen with the big media arms in the US. They are also $1 trillion pieces of junk, unless they become relevant somehow by trying to report some news in a relatively objective fashion. So at least one of the arms of the privately owned MSM has got to become fake opposition and look like they care about objectivity, for goodness sake. Maybe one or two arms could do it, and all the others could just go pro-left-wing, pro-Marxist as usual. But I don't know how long that would last, because citizen journalists seem to be getting on top of them over and over again. And it's not showing at the ballot box. It's not showing at rallies that the mainstream media are winning. They're losers, major losers. And it's wonderful to see a major plank, a major arm of the New World Order literally decaying with time in just a few weeks as the mainstream media becomes not believed by anybody. Truly amazed I am, and it leaves me breathless to imagine what's going to happen tomorrow when Wikileaks 18 comes out. I can't wait for that one. I think I'll see you tomorrow. How's that? Steve here in Sydney. Over and out.